Hello, it's June 2022, and before I get into this video, I just want to say that the videos that I've been doing lately have been done relatively in real time, except for the journey update videos. Those are done in real time and posted immediately. Now, I have been going through my older videos, and my older videos go back to 2010. Now, about half of my videos are not public, and even the videos, the older videos with regards to Calgary, Alberta, I've taken about half of those down as well over time. The reason why I did that was because, especially with new subscribers, just having so many videos talking about my story was a bit overwhelming and confusing for a lot of people. So I started just taking down my older videos and then just continuing with posting updates and so forth. And what I do every so often, and I'm going to be doing now, is revisiting some old topics and so forth. And I was going through one of my, or actually two of my older videos with regards to Calgary, Alberta, and that's what this video is going to be about. It's going to revisit all this, and it's interesting because this has been going on for years, and there's some little details and stuff that I might overlook or whatever, and I thought it'd be good just to kind of revisit them. So one of the videos that I had come across, it was a very short video. It was talking about at the time how when I was putting everything together and some new information was coming out at the time, how everyone in the judicial system in the Calgary, Alberta was blaming each other. And I was showing screenshots of letters and everything else and trial transcripts where, for example, the Crown prosecutor was blaming the two former officers for complicating everything, and then blaming my first two lawyers, and the lawyers were blaming the Crown prosecutor and the judge, and eventually with the appeal courts, the Queen's Bench appeal was blaming the trial judge and the prosecutor, and everyone was blaming each other for many errors and mistakes throughout the trial. And there was even at points where the Calgary police was being blamed by, well, the Crown prosecutor with the two former officers, and then there was their delay, alleged delay, with releasing information on their investigation through their what's internal affairs, which is called in Canada professional standards. And when I had watched this, I think it's like 4 or 5 minute video, and listening to the commentary of the screenshots, I was very quickly reminded how everyone was pointing the finger at each other. Interestingly, there were no fingers pointed at me. And as I said towards the end of this video, I'm the one that's carrying the burden of injustice for everyone else's mistakes. And I look back and I think, all these people, whether it be in transcripts, letters, or whatever other screenshots that I had going, all admitted mistakes were made. But yet, again, I'm the one now living in the aftermath of injustice, keeping in mind how this all began for me because of a female who falsely accused myself and a male co-worker who I confided in about the sex trafficking or sexual abuse, whatever you want to call it, at this organization. Everyone was blaming everyone, and there's a plethora of evidence about that. But here's the difference. When you look at other crimes, for example, dealing with say a murder or a real rape or something like, a robbery, usually the police are not a party to it. Well, most times they're not a party to it. And that's why when we hear of these people being exonerated and everything else, it's because, well, has nothing to do with the police or the city or the jurisdiction that they work for, whatever governing body that is. It's basically between citizens type of thing, right? The difference is the two former officers were alleged parties to an alleged event that they actually created, and they needed me guilty of something as their defense for the lawsuit. Now, I've had some people over the years, well, you should have waited till after the criminal trial was over before you sued. They were clever. They delayed the trial until after the limitation period to sue. In Canada, it's 2 years, and I'm generally speaking limitation period to sue. So they waited to continue the trial until after, because they wanted to see if I was going to sue or not. And I waited literally until the day before the limitation period was to expire to sue. I had no other choice. I waited the 2 years. I realized what they were doing. And that's when the Crown prosecutor, and you can read in the transcripts, he told the judge that I'm suing the city of Calgary, the chief of police, and the two former officers, and etc. And the fact that my second lawyer at the time didn't object or do anything, well, it's telling. So that's why they needed me convicted of something. They threw me under the bus. Again, everyone admitted mistakes, serious mistakes were made with my trial, but they were all pointing the finger at each other. And again, I want to highlight, no one pointed the finger at me. Now, another video that I had come across, and some people, not recently, but have asked over the years about, why did I leave the organization? Well, I should have left the organization in June of 2012 when I was invited to, I guess, be part of this little men's thing going on with these women, and I turned that down. And then a few weeks later, Alberta Health Services was interviewing everyone, and there's videos talking about all this. And I stepped up and said, hey, there's some things going on here. So they knew about it and did nothing. At least did nothing that I know of. And they were subsidizing this organization 60%. And I told them, I said, you guys are 60% funding this organization. You guys are on the hook. Anyway, I digress. And people have asked, well, why did I eventually leave or resign the organization? And what ended up happening was that first executive director, who I named in a couple of affidavits filed with the courts and everything, had left, just poof, gone. And there's an official story to that, but whatever. And then there was a little break in between. There was no executive director, and I wasn't gonna even touch trying to run the place. I already was heading up a division of the organization, so whatever. And then when the new executive director came aboard, really he and I had, as a descriptive, just some character issues. We just didn't get along at all. And it was, you can read in my letters how it was really, he had a problem with me, because at the time people were coming to me for everything. So I ended up resigning because I just got fed up with everything. And I went in a lot of detail because everyone else who resigned after he took over, he said, well, no one explained why, nothing. You just, one sentence, I resigned, boom, gone. So I thought, okay, I'm going to give an explanation. And him and I, we fought about a lot of different things, like him posting like my phone number at the front desk just for anyone to see. And I would have to leave the building to go to different residences, and I was, ironically, I was saying that should go in pairs. That way there's no one can accuse anyone of anything and all this other stuff. Just see the irony. And he fought that, but I ended up getting that, so I would take another colleague to go with me to different residences, whatever I had to do. So we had a lot of conflict, and finally I just had enough and I resigned. And then he asked me to stay a little bit longer, see if we can work things out, which looking back, I shouldn't have. I should have just left again back in June of 2012, but whatever. And there was he was spreading rumors that I rescinded my resignation, which I didn't. I just extended it to see if we could work things out. And by December, so this was in November of 2012, and I extended it, and then by the beginning of December 2012, this false allegation. Now, the second executive director was part of the elitist types in the city of Calgary in Alberta. So he was very well connected there. So I don't know anything more than that, or not even implying his personal connection to what was going on that I knew of firsthand. And then, so this false allegation, which dragged me into this nightmare. And I began the real downward spiral of my whole life to, again, where I am now, living as I am. And I ended up stepping up. And then where things really went sideways was when 2 former officers, wanting to be white knight heroes, stepped in and thought they were going to do some street justice that was related to the female and to silence me. And that went sideways for everyone. And it really, when you look at the big picture, when you actually step back, it was them, those two, that escalated things to beyond ridiculous, to where they lost their jobs. Other people had their jobs compromised, lost their jobs. And it just, wow. Like Hollywood couldn't write a better script. And as I said in the one video with regards to everyone pointing the finger at each other, this would be comical if it wasn't my life or anyone's life. It was, say, in a movie, and be kind of unbelievable, but it is what it is. So I just want to really revisit those two topics, how at one point where I put everything together and there was some new evidence that came out around that time, how everyone was blaming each other, and revisit why I resigned from the organization. And there was other reasons that I hinted at in my letters of resignation, which I share. But whatever. So hopefully this answers some questions that you may have had. And yeah. Thank you for watching. Please like, subscribe, comment, and share. Are done relatively in real time, and the exception being, that was terrible. That was terrible. Hello, it's June 2022, and I've been going over some of my journey update video series, and those are posted immediately. And complete are the journey update videos, which are done immediately. And I completely, my brain just, wow.
Listen to this and write it down if you can't remember it. You're never going to outgrow warfare. You simply must learn to fight. I hear people say to me, oh, when is it going to get easier? When you die.